what do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube, presented as always by Pure Options Precision Crafted Cannabis. If you think college refs are ass, if you're struggling with college football defeat, with the Tigers' 2:30 start time, or you're just in heaven because the Tigers are in the postseason, Pure Options is here for whatever emotion you're feeling to help you relax, chill, and live your best life. Go to pureoptions.com for location information nearest you, for daily specials, to sign up for their Pure Perks loyalty program, to download the app, to find events, including the Michigan Funk Fest next week at the Frandor location. Lots of great stuff at pureoptions.com. A terrific supporter of our community and of Couch and the Rube. And our Monday afternoon show brought to you by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels. It is football season now. It is flannel season. And it may be 70 degrees today, but this shit isn't going to last. It is time to go to gomuskox.com. Check out their new latest fall offerings. Fantastic stuff. Just got a new flannel in the mail the other day. You know how we feel about them. And if you want to feel as good as you can feel and look as good as you can look, even if you're a hideous creature like myself or Jason, he's got a stupid-looking face. Muskox flannels are here for you. Go muskox.com and the promo code FIXITINPOST, all one word, for $15 off your flannel purchase for Couch and the Rube listeners. Fix it in post at gomuskox.com. Jason, how you doing, brother?
What's up, buddy? I'm not really excited about you just throwing me in the ugly club like that.
Apologies.
I know I am ugly, but it's just when you throw me in there like that.
It's,
I'm already, rallying because, without booze anymore, I don't have the wicked hangovers. But when you eat the way I did Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, boy, oh boy, is Monday terrible sometimes.
So do you think, how everything's relative to the person you're with in terms of being ugly and good looking? And if you're going to go to a bar, when you were in your 20s, you thought about this. If you're going to a bar or a club, not that I went to many clubs, but
yeah.
you want to be with somebody who's not so hideous they turn off everybody, but you're the step up, right? That's the key.
Sure.
If you and I walked into a bar together, two single guys, mid-40s, who's the catch?
Lester Holt. I don't know about a catch, but I think that I can throw myself together where I look somewhat decent. I feel like I've gotten in shape over the summer a little bit more, so I don't know.
Okay.
But some people, the ladies like an intellectual bore like yourself, so
it's fair.
They might know, is that Graham Couch over there? I like that guy. He loves terror. He watches the same movies I do.
Look at that guy.
Then you would have the upper hand of me.
Look at that guy posed in a muskox flannel. That's the guy I want.
Awkwardly staring at the wall,
Unfortunately, late at night when I take the muskox off, all else is revealed. Not great. But
hell yeah, man.
Anyway,
what a start.
We've got a fun show. Our hot takes and yours, of course, for this Monday.
Can we do the show at night again? I don't know. Maybe I was just more in my prime at night, but I feel like Harry Gagnon doing these at the one show we did, and then after the last time we did it later on in the evening, he was like all jovial.
Well, Tuesday,
I feel like that's how I am right now.
We're planning that tomorrow night, right? It's
yes.
Tuesday night show. So our midweek shows, mostly Tuesdays, occasionally Wednesdays, but
programming update.
Midweek shows in the evening for the near term for
thanks to Major League Baseball as well for their lovely scheduling bullshit. But we can get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into that here with our hot takes and yours. Do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first?
Let's go, man. I can do it.
Okay.
The Michigan State game. I know that's what we want to start with, right? I have to say, I did not see that kind of scenario coming where Ohio State, the game for that matter, the stadium was all going, are you guys going to try to upset this team? They want you to. The game wants you to. The fans want you to. The Michigan State team just didn't seem like they wanted to play along. Listen, Aidan Chiles is the guy. You can sit there and I know every pass that he makes, sometimes you feel like, oh, my God, that's interception. Tommy Schuster's not going to lead this team to anything. So you might as well just enjoy Aidan Chiles, the mistakes, the growing pains and all of that. But I will say, Jonathan Smith, the fourth down, Like, I know that he's taking ownership for it. I can't wait to see this team against Oregon because I was saying, I know that, after the fact guy, but I did write it down in my notes. I said, you take the points in that scenario. It's okay. We're all making mistakes, but it's not. Is that a concern like for Jonathan Smith? No, but I was just going like, at least maybe call a timeout and get a goal line play that you like. It just seemed like it was, but a lot of the mistakes were self-inflicted, Graham. And I just think that Michigan State could have won that game.
So
I know it's crazy looking at that score, but it's like, God damn.
Couple things. One, he doubled down on the decision, and I think he said this is what they would do.
All right.
Going forward on fourth and a yard and a half, a full yard at the very least. And, I disagreed with the decision, but the decision to go for it was a reasonable one. And he said, against a team like this, just didn't think field goals would be enough. Here's where I disagree with that for a couple reasons. One, you haven't been great on 4th and short this year. Now, I know when you have a quarterback who's mobile like Aidan Chiles, and maybe you start to get the quarterback sneaks down, and maybe it is a good play at some point.
But you got to call it a different play then.
But the other thing is you'd just gotten the ball off the field with a field goal. You'd been good in the red zone defensively. You're moving the ball easily on Ohio State. You don't know yet that field goals won't do it in this game.
Yep.
Because what you're doing there is you're giving Ohio State the brand too much credit. They didn't leave their stadium, and they played 3 low-level teams in their first 3 games. What you're doing is giving Ohio State the brand, and what you see on film, frankly. I mean, they do a lot of study, but you're giving them too much credit, not the matchup that we'd seen so far, where and I just think getting points, getting on the board was the right call. It was not one of those things where just because I disagree with it, there are multiple ways to skin a cat, so to speak. I don't know if that was the right analogy then, but anyway.
Just don't eat it.
Yeah. I just want to do the impression, but I can't do it. Oh, it's just so good.
By the way, shout out to SNL. They were great. I mean, I don't know. Is SNL back now? I saw a clip.
They're at their best in election years. They're always at their best in election years. I mean, because they're just so good. Dana Carvey as Biden was just a ringer.
Yeah, but Kamala Harris, who did...
Oh, what's her name? Oh, she's fantastic. She's got the voice down.
Maya Rudolph.
God,
you're terrible at that.
And she's great.
Her voice, the way she did that, her voice and everything was just spot on. It's unbelievable. I'm like, is SNL back? And then Andrew Gauthier, he sent me a clip of a funny skit they did about the Halloween shops that pop open, and I was laughing at that. I'm like, damn, dude, SNL's back.
They did well. And I didn't know Gene Smart, like this Designing Women on this Thursday night. Like, I don't know. Is Gene Smart hosting the show? That was amazing.
Is she on some new,
She must be. She must be.
Things,
I was like, what is this, 1996? This is great. I don't know what's going on. I'm going to watch Sports Center at noon on my way home from high school or whatever. Way off track here, and I've lost my train of thought. It was not one of those egregious decisions to the point that it's worth overly being critical of. For me, Michigan State, it's one of those things where they're not good enough yet to beat Ohio State unless everything goes perfect on a day. You can see them now being in the realm where they could upset Ohio State on a day where Ohio State committed a couple turnovers. They did not. Things just went right perfectly, I think is what I described it. And that means you have to be in the realm to create that opportunity, which they weren't the last 4 years. And they are very similar to me. They've got a little more dynamic quarterback, and they're younger at that position. I think a little more upside eventually on offense. But they're very similar to me to where they were in 2019. And that was, if you remember how you felt in 2019, that was a team that people thought Mark D'Antonio was going to have a group that he could win with. They sort of underachieved. Defense still had some stuff, and then they fell apart. But that's, to me, about where this team is. That's not where you want the end game to be.
And by the way, I agree with you wholeheartedly on the field goal. You were kind of still in that game, and to respect Ohio State at your own house like that. But I liked what Jonathan Smith said when he said, I didn't feel like there were a bunch of snaps out there that we were just overwhelmed. And that's what even makes it harder when all the turnovers they made, when you could have had opportunities to maybe even take the lead at home. It's just because they weren't overwhelmed by Ohio State, and that's what I really loved in Oregon. We can talk about that game later, but I love the points in that game too. I just like the way the defense is playing a lot too. So there's a lot of mistakes they need to just get rid of.
What Michigan State showed this week against an Ohio State, and again, this is Ohio State's first test, so we'll learn more about them down the road, but we think they're really good. We think they're like a top 3-4 team nationally, one of the few that has a chance to win legitimately win a national championship. But they showed me this week that if you're not like Ohio State, if you're not an explosive offense, if you don't have Jeremiah Smith, if you don't have all of that, that Michigan State is going to be in the game with a chance to win, at least a 50-50 chance of winning, because Michigan State's own offense is good enough to move the ball against anybody, and we saw that. And that starts with Aidan Chiles, who, yes, he still makes mistakes, but it's how you have to defend him, how teams are concerned about him moving, what that does on the back end. And so the question is, when they get in these 50-50 games, which is going to be a lot of them the rest of the year, I don't know about Oregon, we'll see, but the rest of the games after that, I think it's 50-50 against Iowa and Michigan, no worse. They've just got to make the winning plays at the end and fewer mistakes and grow into that. And right now they looked Saturday like a team that knew they were playing up a little bit and tried to do too much here and there and then made extra mistakes. You can't have the Jack Velling, and I know it was a nice play made by the defensive back, but you can't have your tight end fumbling in the red zone. You can't have 2 turnovers in the red zone and win games in the Big Ten, let alone against Ohio State. I thought overall it was a relatively promising game for the program and the team. But now that you showed that, you should expect to be competitive with everybody. And now you've got to hone in on the areas where you're making mistakes. And I think this week is fascinating because it is a 6-day turnaround. It is on the road at Oregon. Yep. It's an interesting game in the sense that, half the staff, this is their rival. This has been ingrained in them. For Jonathan Smith, he played at Oregon State. And then you have players that came over with them. You have one coach on your staff, Demetrius Martin, who was on Oregon staff last year. Interesting game in that sense. But you also have a team that maybe not Ohio State's level. I don't think we really know Oregon's had 2 decent games after not looking as great early. But this is a quality opponent. On the road, 6-day turnaround, other side of the country. You got to bye after that.
Isn't that somewhat a good thing, though?
How do you
respond?
This team
to just not think about it, right? To look over that Ohio State film. I mean, what are you going to look at? Just move forward, go to Oregon, lock into that mode?
Yeah, I mean, to me, in some ways it is good. I mean, I don't think the short prep is good. I don't think getting out of your routine. I don't think having a day less. I don't think flying.
I'm trying to look at positives
here. I do think having another game that's there's no time to that stinks. I also think
because that loss has to sting. I know it seems like a blowout with the score, but it's just like all of those mistakes that you made. You could look back and go, man, what could have been?
And I wonder how the players feel about it because in 2019 it led to a 38-0 loss the next week against Wisconsin, but that was because that Michigan State team wanted to be Ohio State. They thought they were there. They thought they were going to be competing for a Big Ten championship. D'Antonio even thought it, and it was a huge measuring stick. And sort of when they weren't there, it was deflating. This team, I think, in some ways, the guys who have been part of the program know that felt different, more competitive on the field. So it shouldn't be deflating. I don't know if it's necessarily inspiring, losing 38-7 at home. But
it just didn't feel. Yeah.
But this is your last chance this year because to go into it, to win a game somewhere or do something that really makes people take notice. Because Michigan, by the time they play there, unless they improve drastically and get a lot better play at quarterback, people are going to know they're just kind of an average team this season. Indiana and Illinois are really good teams. Iowa's, I think, a good team, but they're not. They don't come with a cachet of Oregon if you upset them. This is a chance to prove that what you showed at times against Ohio State is something that you are and you can sustain and you can do better. And so that makes this week very interesting. What's your next hot take?
Buenos tardes. It is time for the Detroit Tigers Gambling Update with Gramanito Couch and Jason Nick.
Was there a bigger gambling opportunity than betting the White Sox money line the past 2 games, though? The Saturday game, especially Saturday, it was like rainy.
And then Maeda. I made money on Maeda.
I saw it was plus 232 for the White Sox, but it was like the day after we clinched. Like, how are you going to?
Yeah.
I just,
The problem is the White Sox are bad. Like, even when they were up 5-0 Sunday, it's 5-4 after a minute.
Yeah, but they won like 8-something. But I love the fact that Tarek Skubal, he's going to win the Cy Young. He has the pitching triple crown, which 21 other pitchers have done in the history of. The fact that Chris Ilitch, to watch him in the locker room with his buttoned up fucking polo shirt with his wife and kid, how much he's going to have to pay this guy. Because there's going to be a tax on it. I don't blame, who's his agent?
Scott Boras
is going to absolutely slap some sort of tax for Chris Ilitch to pay Derek Skubal. Because guess what, Chris? If you don't want to pay him, someone else will, because he's unbelievable. The whole weekend, it was just, I still can't believe, like even yesterday, I was texting friends. I was like, I can't believe that the Tigers are in the playoffs. I bought a hoodie that says October baseball. Like a month ago, what? Like absolutely not. Right?
It's still
Is
incredible.
This team,
I
mean, do we have a shot? And then I watch all these videos of like the talking heads, like guys I respect, right? Like the Kent Rosenthal's, like those guys of talking about the Tigers as a possible World Series like contender. But here's the thing, though. What's up with the scheduling of the games at 2:30?
All right, yeah.
I know that we're going to get there, right? But
no. So let's get into that. So here's the thing that I at one point. So I'm going to tell people selfishly
that you like it.
I wanted it at 2:30. Well, I wanted it for the scheduling of the show. If it was a 7 o'clock, we were going to have issues scheduling our midweek show if it was a 7 o'clock game.
I don't care.
But
look, I'll do it whenever. I mean, if it means the Tigers are in the postseason, I could give a shit.
Yeah, but
it shouldn't be. I want, especially if we're not going to get a home game whatsoever in the first round.
Correct. But it was also, so I thought by playing Houston, it was more likely they'd play at night, given that they've, who Houston is to baseball right now, and that the Tigers were a hot team anyway. In Baltimore, I didn't think, Baltimore would be I thought Houston was a bigger brand in baseball, and it's further out west.
But why? What is the reasoning behind these games at 2:30?
Well, they've done this for a while. We just haven't been paying attention. They've been day baseball in the playoffs for years.
But I haven't liked it. I've never liked it, though.
Correct.
Now that the Tigers are in it, it affects me even more. Thankfully, I'm not going to have an issue watching the game tomorrow. But, I mean, if you are someone that works 9 to 5, you're like, what the fuck? You can't have the games on at night and either stagger them or have two on at the same time. I have 2 TVs. I can handle it.
So I've got multiple thoughts. This is it could go either way type situation. I understand the frustration. I mean, you waited all year. You've waited 10 years in some people's cases, but you've waited all year for this opportunity, and now some people on short notice just won't be able to see the game. If you work a job, there's 9 to 5. Now, I'll say this. If you are a boss in a non-essential or non-service industry where like
essential worker thing again,
like if the shit you do involves press releases or just government contracts that aren't national security, your employee's
that game anyway.
Your employee's obligation to you
got that
ends at 2 o'clock tomorrow. Like or at least have fun. If you're a teacher or you're bring a TV. I'm
talking about the people that are working on the line and working construction and shit like that. The
100%.
People that you were mentioning have TVs in their office.
Hey, if you're a construction foreman, there's a lot of barrels without fuckers working. Like, take tomorrow off. You're taking a lot of other days off.
At least have some earbuds in with Dickerson. And Michael Kay is doing the game? Michael Kay is going to do the game tomorrow?
Yeah.
Fuck that. What is going on?
Anyway.
You're okay with all this stuff?
No. I was explaining my point. I was explaining all of it. And I got derailed because I started thinking about construction and I-90 or 496. And now there's still construction 6 years later in the same spot. What a contract that was. Anyway. The NCAA tournament does this Thursday, Friday every year in March, right? And we sort of get used to it and we get ready for it. The problem is there's no notice. And so if the Tigers are going to be in the postseason, and this is going to be a big deal to people, you're just going to have to start planning on PTO this week every year. Like there's going to have to be something people sort of bake into their schedule the same way they do the NCAA tournament. Nobody complains about the noon NCAA tournament games because we're just used to it. We try to get it off. We try to build our lives around it. It's when you do your vasectomy. It's when you get, whatever it is you're doing. So there's that side of it. And I think if you are a teacher, there's nothing you're going to learn in the classroom tomorrow more important than creating a moment in a memory by wheeling a TV in and putting the Tigers on, right?
Yeah.
Do that.
Any kind of playoff baseball.
Whatever it is.
Whatever regional is near you if you're a teacher.
Especially if you got middle school kids because teachers in middle school aren't learning anything anymore.
You're going to be remembered forever, like as the cool teacher.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you're a boss, recognize it and try to meet the moment. So there are a lot of things to say that.
So we don't blame MLB for the schedule.
But I do think they've got to get, it's difficult to know why the Tigers are at 2:30. If the Tigers are at 2:30 because of their brand, because of their media market, and it's not because of games that are being played on this Monday that involve more travel and need to be later, if there are things that are going to be constants year over year, most likely, then let people know that. Come out and say it. Hey, you're the Detroit Tigers. You're going to be the 2:30 game most of the time. That's fine. People need to know so 3 weeks ago they can take
but we're hot and
PTO.
exciting, though. People should want to see us in the evening time.
I also think this is where baseball might miss the boat, which does not surprise me. It does seem to me that you could create better events. I know that you might have 2 games at once, and not everybody could, not every game would be watched by everybody, but that's going to happen at 2:30 p.m. anyway.
Right.
If you had 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. games, people would complain about the 9 p.m. being too late, but you could try to do that. And the Tigers would be at 9 p.m. because they're out in Houston probably, but that would probably be better than 2:30.
And it's not just baseball, like golf as well. Like, golf has me. I'm going to watch no matter what. But the President's Cup, it was kind of exciting for those that love golf. So if you're going to complain about the game, it's hard to grow the game of golf. But look at when you're scheduling some of these events and you're going up against football. Stop going up against football. I want to watch golf. I had it on my second TV, but it was still annoying because I wanted to pay attention. There's so many other weeks that you can have these golf events
have them
at the level that they are.
Yeah, but the football is your thing. Baseball is going up 2:30. The Tigers are going up against the Champions League on Tuesday. I mean, I'm going to have a second TV on because I'm going to have soccer on. Like, and that is for a lot of people. We're talking about growing the game.
Yeah.
Baseball's
bad at it too.
So yeah, if you're a Tigers fan, sure, the Tigers get the main screen. They're the big deal. But if you're talking about just getting casual people, and 2:30 is better than 6 p.m. and having 2 games at once, going up against the Champions League does not do it, because there will be people who take tomorrow off for the Champions League, or they'll be home and they'll be watching the Champions League. If you're not necessarily a Tigers fan or a baseball fan, you're not going to be watching baseball over the Champions League tomorrow, and that's another miss. I don't understand why they don't do it at night. But try to make the best of this situation. What is your final hot take?
Well, it's just I got a little hodgepodge of other things here. But first of all, rest in peace to Dikembe Mutombo.
Yeah.
That news came out this morning. Really a bummer. Did you know he was sick or anything?
I didn't know that.
I had no idea. I mean, it just amazes me. Someone that's, a public figure like Dikembe, you don't see him all the time, but then you find out that he passes away and then he had the brain cancer.
I didn't know he was 58 already.
I know. Unbelievable.
I just remember the Pistons tried to sign him 2 weeks ago, 3 years ago or something.
Wait, hold on. That was for Dikembe. But I always remember in '95 because my buddy Rory Nappy was a big Seattle Supersonics fan, and when Denver played them in the first round, and I remember calling him on the phone after Dikembe holds the ball up, looking at it like that, and I'm like, Rory, man, what happened in the game?
It was 93, right?
He hung up on me. What? 93? Was it 93?
I could be wrong. 94.
It's okay to fact check through a tribute. It's fine. You did it with your grandma and all that stuff.
I know. I screwed that up. I apologize.
But rest in peace, Dikembe Mutombo, who wants to sex the Mutombo, one of the all-time greatest stories. By the way, Max Clark, the Tigers' 3rd overall pick, right? This was a couple weeks ago. He's engaged to his longtime girlfriend. He's 19 years old. Because I saw that. It was like a normal headline. Like, Max Clark is engaged to a longtime girlfriend. I'm like, oh, no, good for him. Wait, what the fuck? 19? Wait, long-term girlfriend? What is wrong with these guys? Are these guys out of their minds?
I mean,
to get engaged at 19, if you're just a normal dude, okay. But like at 19, when you're going to be a superstar baseball guy?
I wouldn't have done it, but you meet the right person when you meet the right person.
At 19.
It happens.
There's
to some
no
people.
chance. Dude, why would you get married before you're 30?
Well, if you meet the right person.
Wait, stay with this person until you're 30. You make it till you're 30, then you get married. But it never works out. I understand young love. The first girl I had sex with, believe me, I wanted to stay with her for the rest of my life. I couldn't believe I actually found a girl to have sex with me. But you're Max Clark, number 3rd pick overall. You got millions of dollars. What do you have to rush it for? You can't just say give a promise ring and say, okay, yeah, let's see what happens until we're 30. What's wrong with these guys?
You and I have all sorts of opinions on this, some of which I don't think are good to share.
And by the way, Jimmy Carter turns 100. 19 months in hospice.
Transition.
19 months in hospice. I mean, he's going for the Cal Ripken record, and no one's talking about it, of the hospice record.
It is impressive. It makes you rethink
So
hospice.
that was kind of a big take. I think about Jimmy Carter a lot.
Yeah, well, no, a lot of people go from Max Clark's.
I mean, come on, that's not ridiculous. What am I saying that's wrong there? I can't have an opinion about young guys and gals getting married. Is that?
I used to
do it.
I used to feel the same way about
marriage.
Kirk Cousins and some other. I covered a guy at Western like it. Like if I don't want to get into this because it's not bad. It's not great, and people feel all sorts of different ways. And there are lots of people who are religious who listen to our show. He wasn't married yet. My point was he was saving himself.
Yeah, because it's religious reasons,
which is fine. Except
you're saying Clark.
Don't be a Division I quarterback if you're saving. You're like the rest. Nobody can live vicariously through you. If you're a Division I
who
quarterback,
started that rule, by the way?
If you're a Division I quarterback on campus, life should be great. and that feels like an opportunity
Like Tim
lost.
Tebow.
And I shouldn't. We'll fix
Oh, my
that
God.
post.
Come
We'll fix
on.
that
We're
post.
adults here. Anyway.
We don't sound like it sometimes.
Well, I know. That's the Couch in the Roof show.
Okay, that's fair. All right, my final bit here before we get into the listener hot takes. So a lot of people are frustrated with streaming, and the Peacock having the Michigan State game against Ohio State, and it does make it hard to flip back and forth. It sucks in that sense. Like if you are watching, you almost have to go with multiple TVs and create that situation for yourself. Because you can't, it just takes 3-4 minutes, and then you got to say, no, I don't want it in Spanish. Yes, I want live now. No, I want to get out of this and go to. If we really want this is what we've chosen, right? There's an easy fix. Get cable. If enough of us get cable, which was always better, if we hadn't fallen into this millennial trap of using our parents' passwords to thinking shit was cheaper for all these years, and I'm sort of on a verge of a millennial. I'm not knocking the generation. If we hadn't fallen into that, if we had understood with our little pea brains that cable was always better, the transition that's happened wouldn't have happened, and this would all be there for us. It would still be on cable. If enough of us switch back, we stop subscribing to streaming services, or we go all in on cable, shit will change. The problem is the rest of our habits are streaming based. We watch things on streaming. We do. So this is the way it's going to go. We're just going to have to get used to it. We have chosen this by making the wrong choice. Anyway, that was going to be my final hot take.
Graham.
Yeah, but you have to go back to the apps. No matter, even if you have cable, you got to go to Peacock to watch. If it's
that's what I'm saying. But if enough people had cable, the apps wouldn't work.
Can't go back now.
Well, we should.
It's impossible.
We should. I know. I'm
You
just
own
saying
everything.
Yeah. That is a little bit of a baked take presented by our friends at Pure Options.
You're telling me that we can't come up with a remote?
Well,
There's not a
that's the
remote
thing.
yet of like with those buttons. I have one that has the buttons of Netflix and the other apps on there. So can I just boom, boom, boom?
We ought to toggle quicker. And the apps have to start learning that when I click on you, I want to watch you. Like if I'm watching Bally's, I don't want to click 3 times to get on there. Just once. When I click on Bally's, play.
Yeah.
Play. That's all I want.
No, that's impossible.
Just play. It doesn't seem like that big of an ask. Again, a bake take presented by our friends at Pure Options Precision Crafted Cannabis. Funk Fest coming Saturday, October 12th, 1 to 8 p.m. at the Frandor location. Same spot as the last 2 concerts. They'll have live music. They're going to have the whole deal, the usual Pure Options experience. But this is the Michigan Institute for Contemporary Art, Funk Fest. So it's a partnership, a community partnership, something they do great. Go to micharts.org/funkfest or Pure Options to get $15 tickets Saturday, 1 to 8 p.m. at the Frandor location. All right, are we ready to dig into these listener hot takes?
Yeah, let's do it. All right, Eric Schultz up first. The expectation for this season was to show that you're on a path to legitimacy and to get 6 wins. Sucks getting beat badly, especially when there are chances early, but nothing that happens Saturday makes it less believable that they'll meet that expectation.
Yeah, no, I think if they had been just thumped where they couldn't compete, where they couldn't move the ball, in fact, if anything, it made me think that they have certainly a chance in every remaining game, sans maybe at Oregon. We'll see about this week. But the real thing for them is cleaning up their own shit. And if they do that, if they lessen their mistakes, they've got the goods at least enough to be in every game with every opponent that I've seen play that's remaining on their schedule.
Jack Hockelaw, rooted for the Tigers growing up, from Houston, love the Astros. Verlander's my favorite player, family in Michigan. Want another Astros championship, but I also want Detroit to win. Who do I root for? I just want both teams to have fun.
Either way, you'll have a team to root for in the ALDS.
I could see that game going one way.
There you go. Yeah, everybody have fun.
The Tigers are the better story. Houston's already won it. This is
fuck Houston, man. Come on,
AJ
Hinch going back.
Root for the Tigers.
Steal some signs again. Good times. Steve Beckman. If Ohio State didn't make any adjustments at halftime, MSU would have covered the 24.
Yeah, Ohio State came out and changed that game considerably, and Michigan State had lost its
That's what
juice.
I said to myself as I was looking at the bet slip that didn't cash. It's like, oh, man, if they would have made adjustments.
This week is interesting because it's like 25 and a half.
I like it.
Yeah, I think it's probably Michigan State is the play, but again, you tease up. I think you're really safe in that 31.5.
Jesus.
The only thing
31.5. Yeah, I would hope so.
I don't trust this team yet entirely. Like, this is that quick turnaround, tough loss. Do you go out there and I don't think this team's going to lay an egg, but I don't trust it entirely. You know what I mean? Like, I don't.
Sounds like it. You're teasing it up to 49 or whatever.
No, 31.5.
Got to get a winner. Dan Grafe, MSU looked great for 80% of the first quarter, but losing by 31 with a moral victory when Ohio State didn't play the starters in the fourth quarter is strange.
Well, it's not ideal. You know, it speaks.
Sometimes you need a little moral.
It speaks to where the program's been, you know? Like, yes, this will not be a moral victory a year from now. They don't play Ohio State a year from now. But you know what I mean? Like, there's only one year and one matchup with Ohio State where this gets to be anything close to encouraging, right? That's it. You get 1 year of it because it's just been that bad against them, and it looked a little different.
Lakeside 2000, there are no moral victories. It's not enough to simply be able to move the ball effectively against Ohio State. The self-inflicted mistakes are often indicative of teams that expect to lose, like going for it, because you don't think your team can keep pace.
Yeah, again, that was my issue. I would have right there, just based on some previous – and you're also far enough out that there's no – even if you get that first down, you've had enough red zone troubles. You might not score a touchdown. You've got a kicker who can –
You have a good kicker.
You have a great kicker. It's one of your strengths. It's one of your advantages. I would have leaned into it. You know, moral victories are – I would not call this a moral victory. I think that's a word that's I think there are elements of the game that are encouraging for MSU's program. But I don't think it's a moral victory. I think
it was just worse than a blowout. I mean, it was still kind of a blowout to the score, but to shoot yourself in the foot when you have Ohio State possibly on the ropes, it's just kind of weird and frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, they did enough things to hurt themselves that I wouldn't call it a moral victory.
Jeffrey Daly, Jaron Glover is an NFL wide receiver.
I don't know about that, but what I do know is I underestimated him. I thought when Pete Thamel reported that Jaron Glover was going to play, I remember thinking, like, well, you could report on 70,000 different receivers, and that's too many.
Thamel, no way.
But what I mean is I just didn't think his impact was that consequential. I was wrong on that, and I was glad to see it for Jaron because he's had moments. I thought that was a really good performance by him. I'm curious to see where it goes from here, and if Marsh is healthy, and Nick Marsh had not practiced most of the week, had not practiced the week before that, and so they played him on a limited basis. If they get Marsh and Glover and Foster together all healthy, and now you have a pretty good trio.
And next, outside of Purdue, Michigan is the most winnable game on the schedule for Michigan State. And for Moneybag, it's more likely that MSU beats Michigan and Iowa than it is we lose both.
See, that's a hot take, but I like it. So I do think you're right. I think it's just a little over 50%. If you had to choose right now, if you had to bet $500, Jason.
Yeah.
That Michigan State was either going to beat both Michigan and Iowa or lose to both of them. And if they split, then you got your money back as a push. But you had to put $500 on this. Which way would you go?
So a split, I get my money back.
Split, you get your money back. But if they lose both, you get $500. And if they win both, you get...
Yeah, I'll take win.
Yeah, I would go
hypothetical. Why would I take the?
Well, no, but I'm just saying. I would go.
You put the $500 in my hand, then maybe
I would go that way too because I don't think they're going to lose both, and I right now I do think they've got a pretty good shot at beating Michigan. Now Michigan's going to try and improve too, but it is so hard to overcome not having a quarterback. It is just a hard thing to do, and Michigan to me reminds me so much of the 2012 Michigan State team. When they had Andrew Maxwell, different style of quarterback. That team had a good defense, but wasn't quite the defense that it was the next year. Had a great running back in Le'Veon Bell. Maybe Michigan's offensive line now is better. But if you don't have a quarterback and you don't have the playmakers to beat people on the outside or whatever, it's just a hard season. And Michigan's not dominating anywhere else. And so I do think that's a pretty winnable game for Michigan State because I do think Michigan State has the quarterback. Now, Aidan Chiles may throw 3 interceptions, and they may lose that game. But I do think it'll be close. I think it's a complete toss-up. That it's the most winnable game outside of Purdue? I don't know about that. I don't know if I trust for Rutgers, Indiana, Illinois. We'll see what those teams are by then. But it's a good take, and it is our Muskox quality flannel hot take of the week. Because both takes from Owen and Moneybag were strong on their own, but better as part of a herd together, just like a Muskox. I'm telling you right now, if you don't have a Muskox flannel, if you've never let yourself be this comfortable or look this good, go to gomuskox.com. Fantastic purchase for yourself, gift for somebody else. It'll let them know you care. I'm telling you right now, you give a Muskox flannel to somebody, it said you put thought into it, you care how they look, you care how they feel, you care about them. Go to gomuskox.com, and you can use the promo code FIXITINPOST, all one word, for $15 off your flannel purchase.
God damn, I just ordered one. Good job, Couch. Jesus. Alan Pearlstein, Aidan Chiles is a playmaker. Turnovers will always be a part of his game. If Chiles develops like we all hope, those turnovers will make up a decreasing part of his game.
I mean, that's really it. I mean, he is, and they have to be a decreasing part of his game, but...
Or what? You have a better option?
No, not at Michigan State, but if he's going to be an NFL quarterback someday, like he has the goods to be an NFL quarterback. He does. He has the ability. He has the he's listed at 6'3", but he's not. He's at least 6'4". I'm 6'2", and I've stood next to him. I mean, he's
on a treadmill.
I'm usually at the treadmill when I'm interviewing him. I bring my treadmill. It's incredible. So you're talking about a 6'4" quarterback with a lot of athletic skill who just seems to have a lot of things going for him. I think that's. But ultimately, if he's somebody who that limits him, then it'll limit his career.
Jebediah next. Yeah, this MSU offense looked sweet with Tommy TDs against Ohio State's backups. What were we thinking? Biggest fart noise known to mankind. Bonus, gritty Tig sweep the Cheatstros. The Cheatstros.
I am looking forward to this first game with Scooball in the mound. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to see him in that setting. And you know what I love about it?
We need to have fun. That's right.
Remember all the angst about should they trade Tarek Scooball?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I was part of that. I don't say I championed it, but I was,
Mm-hmm. Another one of your great takes.
Yep. Not great. Yeah. Now they need to sign him, and they need to pay whatever it costs. And
wait. You might as well keep waiting. Maybe he'll win another fucking pitching crown.
But at the very least, the fact that he won a Cy Young, won the Triple Crown, he's going to win the Cy Young, and pitched in the playoffs, and the fact that he did all this in a relevant season is important. Like that's
why own?
You didn't waste him.
Why own a team though? Why own a team if you don't want to pay a guy like this?
You got to pay.
Draft these guys and they do what you ask of them, and they finally get there, and you want to hem and fucking haw. Like then what's the point?
You pay him this offseason, and people say there's no hometown discount or no discount ahead of time because of Boris.
You charge him more.
No, I think there will be a slight. Boris. I think there will be a slight discount.
Chris Ilitch is so bad he made me fucking pro Scott Boris. I mean, imagine that.
There will be a slight discount because you never know as a pitcher when you can throw out your arm, and if you're going to get paid 2 years ahead of time, I do think you'll get a slightly better deal. And if not, Boris isn't doing his clients well, and he screwed a couple clients recently in baseball. Like, if you don't give a slight discount, again, there's not a salary cap. You pay the man. He's worth it. He anchors your playoff team, right? You can say, Parker Meadows is probably the most important player to this turnaround because you look at the record when he plays and doesn't, and just how great he's been in the injection of life he's added to this team. You can argue
he should sign that contract before game one.
You can argue that Riley Green and Tarek Scooball should be paid this offseason. I think you get those two things done.
Yeah. All right, Matt C. Aidan Chiles getting $1 million to smash the NCAA turnover record is an inspiration to us all who dream to fail upward. Some of Chiles' throws are so bad, I'm convinced he's colorblind and can't tell who's wearing what colors. Arm talent doesn't matter if you can't protect the football. You can be excited about Chiles' future, but also admit he's a terrible quarterback right now.
Who hurt you, Matt? That's what I want to know.
Football and gambling, I'm guessing.
I mean, like Aidan Chiles is the most entertaining quarterback Michigan State's had to watch in a long time.
And he's not the only quarterback doing this in college and the pros.
Correct.
Playing this way.
Correct.
I think this is the new style of playing.
And this is just it's a hard position to play.
Yeah.
I mean,
always has been.
Look at the pros right now. The Minnesota Vikings are 4-0 only because their rookie quarterback got hurt. Indianapolis won yesterday only because their young quarterback got hurt, and Joe Flacco is a veteran of like 47 years stepped in. They would have lost the game otherwise. Young quarterbacks struggle. veteran. You're always. I mean, and Aidan Chiles is a young quarterback. It's going to take time now. And I think what he's doing now has more positive impact than you do, Matt. We just
and look at Josh Allen
here.
last night against the Ravens. I mean, like, I've never seen a guy like when he's down double digits go for more risky plays that could be career ending than Josh Allen. You know what I mean? Like every
although
play,
he had one throw.
He's one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. I'm just saying you have to play smarter if you're Josh Allen, though. Live to see the next play. Stop trying to make all of these crazy plays and getting out of. These guys are huge, man.
And when you
especially in the NFL,
when you finally start to turn the game around, don't get too cute like the Bills did on offense with that razzle dazzle play when they were finally moving it. And
is that gambling related? Or?
No. I had money on the Ravens. Matt, I'm telling you right now, if you feel this way, and if you feel like Matt, this is where Pure Options is here for you. Go to any Pure Options location throughout Michigan. Go to pureoptions.com. Type it in right now, and it'll help you get through whatever quarterback you're watching and whatever feelings you have.
Sometimes you need guys like Matt C. Matt C.
I like Matt
they're
C.
good for the soul, man.
I respect
He's
Matt C.
passionate about his sports.
I respect Matt C. I mean, he
keeps it respectful, you know.
Most of the time, and he's
unless he rips on you, then he's on point.
He's a very negative man, but otherwise, yeah.
Hey, maybe it's just some of these sports things. Oasis Dog 97. If you still think Chiles should sit because he threw an interception trying to make something happen when the game was already over, or fumbling because his helmet was getting ripped off, I'm chalking it up to a bias against black quarterbacks. Holy shit.
I don't think it needs to be. I'm not saying
Jamel Hill or what? Who is this?
I'm not saying there aren't people who have biases against black quarterbacks or black head coaches or but I don't know that this situation is that what people are frustrated. I think there are some people who just expect too much out of a quarterback and the mistakes drive them nuts. Now, you also could be right to some degree.
Ken Chu, you go either way. Ken Chu, the Spartans were hanging with Ohio State until that missed face mask call. The fucking refs could have at least called a penalty on the New York Giants. Fucking face mask calls fucked me over twice in one fucking week. Not gambling related. Bonus, Aaron Jagfeld of Adrian College is fishing today for the Bass College Championship. If he wins, he goes to the Bassmaster Classic, bass fishing's equivalent to the Masters. Live coverage airing on bassmaster.com.
Good promo there. All right, Ken. Yeah, no, look, as a former Bassmaster, as the outdoors editor in Kalamazoo for 4 or 5 years, I respect it, and I
should cover it.
I've watched quite a few Bassmaster Classics.
Are they fun? Like watching guys rip fish out of the water?
Yeah, I mean, I watched Kevin Van Dam was from Kalamazoo, and he was one of the top for a while. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Anything you learn well enough. Like I always thought, boy, this would be fun to be good at. You know, and once you learn what's going on, I
watch golf. I'm not questioning. Like if you watch fishing, it's all good. Yeah. I'm just wondering. Ryan Schultz, the current state of officiating is worse for college football than the unlimited transfer rules. Phantom offsides, completely missing a quarterback getting face masked. College refs are Haribo, sugar-free gummy bears, diarrhea ass. Haribo? And from Austin Wolf, Big Ten officials are ass. Premier Conference, get some officials that can see 5 feet in front of them. By the way, teacups.org, 2 people ordered college refs are ass shirts over the weekend. Teacups.org. Go to the website if you want some Couch the Roof swag or whatever. Anyway.
Beautiful. The a couple things. One, the missed face mask on Aidan Chiles when he got it. I mean, it led to the fumble. Should he not fumble anyway? Yes, but like it threw him off balance. It's why he fumbled.
But missing a face mask. I mean, that's
the ref was right
huge.
There. That's bad.
That's what I mean. That's a big missed
call. It was
a
big moment, and I would have written more about it. Except you lose 38-7. Like you have to have the resiliency for that. Like if they lose by 10 in that game, that face mask might have been the game. The way it turned things.
So you could still talk about the college refs. I mean, you don't have to say it would dictate the game. They just missed some calls.
And then what they did to, I think it's more egregious what they did to Minnesota against Michigan. And Minnesota would have had the ball like their 40-yard line, needing a field goal to win. And you don't know what would have happened there. But what I don't like, what drives me nuts about officials, and this goes back to the Galarraga perfect game that wasn't, and all that stuff, is when officials see things that didn't happen. Like I don't understand that. I understand it looks like he's out in front, but err on the side of caution there. Don't try to insert yourself into the game because it ruins what was a great moment. And I mean that Minnesota.
Then you get the refs that take forever to call pass interference. Like the play seems to be over. The guys are walking back to the huddle. Then you see a yellow flag fired over.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sorry. We can't ask both ways of these refs. Either you call it right away or you don't. I mean, you know what I mean?
And it's just, it was a bizarre decision to do. I wish they would do what they did with what they do at least with offsides in soccer, where you can go up, you can review it, and the lines show that he wasn't offsides.
But you have to be careful of the review stuff, too. Like how many things are we going to...
A lot of stuff. If we're doing 12 of these a year, you ought to be able to review a face mask if the ball changes possessions. To me, okay, so one of the things they do well in soccer, and don't fall asleep, hang with me, is that when there's a goal, and because obviously there's like 2 or 3 of them a game, right? So like it's a big moment in a game. They're able to review if anything happened in the buildup. So like if there's a foul that helped lead to that goal or something before it, they're able to negate the goal. If there's offsides, if something created the goal that was illegal because it's such a big moment. So the same thing should be in football. I'm not saying you can review every missed penalty, but if there's a fumble, you ought to be able to see if there is a play within the play, on the play of the fumble that helped lead to that, create that. If there's an interception, whatever it is, if there's a penalty that you missed, it's a huge play in the game. The ball goes to the other team, right? I mean, that seems worth reviewing. And
but what if we had reviewing officials that were watching in another area of the stadium to tell the referee? So it's not the referees aren't involved. They just hear something getting buzzed down.
Or in a studio, where it doesn't need to be in the stadium. Yeah, it just
like the refs, where we slow everything down and slog it down is the refs have to go under the hood and get a headset on, whereas we could just have someone directly talking to the referees going, hey, this call, boom. Trust us on,
That's what's happening now. Whistle down right away. This is happening. Yep.
I mean, I watch all the games. I can do it. Just call me. Green Machine, refs will have a bigger impact on this sport moving forward than NIL or the transfer portal. Losing my love of the game due to games being dictated by these incompetent goofballs. His head is not supposed to be facing backwards, Gerald. Throw the damn flag.
It was and when they showed where the ref was standing and the angle he had, it was like, okay. And everything looks easier when it's still. Like there might be a moment where
a face mask. When you see a helmet, you immediately when you're watching it,
shouldn't have been missed.
Like so, that's a whistle, right?
Should not have been missed.
Come on,
it's bad.
It's a mean one. Kevin from Rochester Hills, the Rube will become a chairman of Ref Appreciation Day, and bonus, Jeremiah Smith will transfer to MSU after this season.
So Jeremiah Smith, a couple things. One, Jeremiah Smith, who's 17 years old too, like Nick Marsh. There's a kid at Alabama.
Got engaged.
What I don't understand is this wave of new receivers. Now, some of it might be guys reclassifying, but you can't enter kindergarten at 4 anymore in most states, and these 17-year-olds will sort of stop happening because the cutoff used to be December 1st, and now it's like September 1st, at least in Michigan. And so but what happened here? We're getting all these 17-year-old receivers. 2-3 years ago, half the freshmen were 20, A.J. Hogard and Hunter Dickinson. I will say this, too. There's a big difference between 17 and 20, and it should not be the same award for Freshman of the Year. If you are 20, you are not up for the same award. You call it Newcomer of the Year. Don't call it Freshman of the Year. If you got held back twice or you did whatever or you started kindergarten at 12, you don't get to be a freshman in college and win the freshman awards because you're a grown-up. You're the kid who had a mustache in 7th grade. Like that's anyway, but it will be interesting for Jeremiah Smith. Clearly a guy is going to be NFL ready before he's done playing 3 years of football in college, but that's still the rule, and everybody who's challenged it has lost. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, he's got to now play 3 years of college football at that level. It's pretty incredible and not good for the rest of the Big Ten.
Nestle's Quick Hotel next. After the debacle that was the end of the Miami Va-Tech game, officials should be able to just defer to the video before making a call if it doesn't seem clear. Then after replay, the video appears to show, and then the call is made. The call is made.
So would you refer to that, like at the end, you're like, we don't know what happened. We're going to watch the film on this. We can't.
Yeah.
We can't tell. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to go look at the film. Obviously,
get it right.
But it does matter what you call on your bang bang, what you see though, because it matters in the replay. Because we always go, well, you need indisputable evidence
to overturn. Now that's fair. Like to me, the one thing you should never do is call something if you're not sure, thinking the film will save you if it takes indisputable evidence to overturn what you called and it was a guess.
But a group of guys and a ball, like I have no problem with the referees going, you know what, I didn't see it. Let's look at the.
Yep. Let's see what happened. Let's see if we got an angle.
It doesn't matter if they go touchdown or you. Going to go look at it.
The problem is, what if the video doesn't show it and you haven't made a call on the field? What are you going to do? That's why you got to kind of make a call on the field. I think that's the tricky part.
All right. Nestle's Quick Hotel. After the debacle that I read that, Professor, Am I not a conspiracy? I am not a conspiracy guy, but in 3 of the college football games I watched this weekend, Miami, Michigan, MSU, there were ticky-tack calls against the smaller brands and no calls on obvious fouls for the bigger brands. It's getting harder every day to not think that the fix is in. And bonus, the 2 or more TV system is improved by making them garage TVs. Mini tailgate with friends and neighbors in your garage and driveway with a fire pit. Pure options and a few beers, the best way to watch football. Oh, I disagree, Professor.
What do you think's better?
Just me and my wife and
pure options,
2 TVs and pure I mean, I like having people over, but then I'm in my driveway and
I don't know.
I miss a lot of game.
Good fire pit, and the other
post game.
The other thing good fire pit, pure options. A patio, garage with friends, an outdoor TV or 2. And of course, a muskox flannels we get in the fall. You can watch games almost deep into November if you got a muskox flannel on. By the way, I forgot to mention earlier that muskox, which is a great steward of responsibility and donates $5 to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center for every flannel purchased, also does that for our muskox hot take of the day. So an extra $5 to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center for our 2 hot takes of the day a little earlier. With the officials, it feels we do need a moment, I think, right now where it feels like the small school gets one. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't. It's like, oh, of course. And I hate being the conspiracy guy too. I hate.
Yeah, but they're fun sometimes.
Yeah,
as long as you don't go full QAnon.
But I don't actually believe the official in the Michigan-Minnesota game meant to screw Minnesota. I don't.
I believe it though.
Well, I feel okay.
There were facts that came out, right?
But you just never get that call going against Michigan for Minnesota. You know what I mean? That's the problem, and that's why it does feel that way.
Skylar Verdon, Peacock color commentator for the MSU game, was terrible. Added very little and had a monotone voice. And bonus, can't decide if MSU's performance was good or not. The offense moved at times, but the game was still over less than halfway through the third. End result felt the same as years past. Yeah, I thought Gavin Haas was doing the game.
Why Gavin?
Because it was a young sounding. It was
I see.
Was it McCoy? Who was it? Colt McCoy? Is that who was doing it? I don't know, but it sounded like a young sounding dude.
Yeah,
like real monotone.
A lot of
weird
people,
voice.
It's weird because they're so good with soccer and they're so good with certain things.
Like you need a voice though. Like just because you have knowledge of a sport, you still have to have a voice to portray it, right? I mean,
let me say this for people who just got Peacock. And you're a little, but maybe I'll keep it because there are other games on Peacock. There'll be Big Ten basketball games on Peacock. Chicago PD, that would be my advice. We just watched the season premiere. It's fantastic. There are I think we're season 11 or 12. There are 11 seasons you can go back and watch. 22 episodes a season, 43 minutes each, commercial free if you have the commercial free version of Peacock. And it's like you need nothing else. You will be riveted. I'm telling you right now, Peacock. Chicago PD. They should be a sponsor of this, frankly.
The Sunshine Spartan number 1. The Tigers sweep Astros, lose to Indians in 5. 2, updated MSU record 5-7. Indiana and Illinois, Rutgers are not pushovers. And 3, big take. What if dogs could talk? Be talking about a lot of weird sex that you have though, because you have sex in front of your animals, right?
Well, and they lick themselves. I think it's best we don't. We think dogs are the best and they are loyal. But I think if
you don't want them to talk.
I don't want to.
Could
we don't want to know what they're thinking. I think we'd think less. We'd think less of dogs if we knew what they thought.
Impossible.
We would think less.
Could be
dogs.
worse than people.
We would think. Yeah.
Talking about treats and shit and your weird sex positions.
Yeah. By the way, if the Tigers-Astros series 2:30 games and we'll see if they sweep and win 3, whatever it is, 2:30 p.m. likely all 3 days at 2:30.
Stupid.
But if you're in downtown Lansing or you're at work. And you're looking for a place, you got to step out of your office. Guess who will have it? Midtown Brewing Company. Just walk on over. Midtown Brewing Company, have it on the big screen. They'll have it at the bar. Fantastic way to spend an afternoon watching the Tigers.
Perhaps take the day off.
Sipping on an American stout. Have yourself a meal, whatever it may be. Great place in downtown Lansing to watch the Tigers.
What if you told your boss, though, listen, I'll work till 1, hard as I can ever have, and then I'm out?
Well, I'll start earlier. I'll get there at 7. I'll get there at 6.
Don't be crazy. Come on now.
Well,
what are you doing?
If you're a boss,
You're going way too overboard.
Understand.
Just hear the first response before you start offering all these things.
Understand your actual importance to this world if you're a boss. That's what I got to say. Like, if what you do is press releases on bullshit, don't require press releases on bullshit for the next, Anyway.
Andrew Gauthier next. Number 1, sure, MSU didn't match up to a top 5 team, but if this is the type of ball we can expect with Jonathan Smith, this feels like the start of something special. Let's just forget about the second half. And 2, Quandarius Dunnigan has to be on the all-names team. And 3, Jordan Turner will play on Sundays. Bonus soccer take. Cole Palmer is now the best player in the EPL. For 4 goals in, one half. Why am I reading like this? Now all the kid needs is to find a proper barber.
It was Chelsea was pretty amazing. Won a little bit of money on that. Did not win money on. There's another bet we'll get to in a later hot take.
Proper barber. What's his hair looking like?
He does not look great. But they don't worry about that stuff in England quite as much. So it 4
By the
goals
way,
in the first half.
Speaking of all names team, my 5-year-old nephew, he plays flag football, and there was a kid on his team named Legend.
Well, that's
I mean, damn, dude, that's a lot to live up to.
Isn't
right?
that the name? That's one of Bill Simonson's kids. Legend. He's got Legend and Ace, and he's got maybe it was
his kid, his young 5-year-old kid, right?
Oh, and he's
wait.
now.
Huge named his kid Legend.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that's great. David Jackson, Chiles made great throws, interspersed with a few throws. Outside of the floater interception that forced a third of the audience to change the channels, he was very good. And hey, at least he's not Alex Orji.
Yeah, you'd much rather be in Michigan State's position quarterback wise. I think there are very few. I'm sure Texas would be one of them, but there are very few situations that you would look right now and think about where the overall team is, program is, quarterback situation, and rather have somebody else than Aidan Chiles, other than Matt C, who feels differently. Like there can't be more than a handful of situations where you would think over the next 2-3 years, based on now and the future, and being in sync with the development of where the program is, you would rather have somebody else than Aidan Chiles.
Matt Boone, number 1, MSU gave me hope for the future, but these injuries are making me worried about whether we make a bowl game. And 2, MSU's defense, if healthy, will be better than all Tucker defenses. And 3, Friday games at 9 p.m. is ass. I'm a teacher. Weekdays are hard to stay awake.
Got to try and get that nap in. That's what I put my wife down for a nap a lot on Fridays before we hang out. Yeah, put her down. Because if we're gonna hang out, we're gonna have a date night. Like it just she by the end of the week.
So when you
exhausted.
decide when she naps and you tuck her in. I mean, what is putting your wife down for?
I tuck her in. Yeah,
for a nap.
God
damn.
2-3 hours. Yeah, I let her go for a little while. And we get up and we have a great night. It's the way.
Hey, honey, know what time it is?
Well, yeah, I did not have to convince her hard. She's excited I mean, it's her favorite thing. If you were married to me, your favorite thing would be sleep too. I mean, so it's just kind of
doing stuff alone.
The way it is. Friday 9 p.m. games, not great. Better that it's a Friday than a Thursday, I guess. But we were just talking about people would rather have this for the baseball game than 2:30 p.m. It's an imperfect situation when you have multiple time zones. Like, think about out west. If you're somebody who's going to this Oregon game and you work till 5 o'clock and you've got to get to Eugene, it's a 6 o'clock, kickoff. It's not going to happen, or get home to watch it. Like, that said, people live in major markets and have trouble with traffic. I don't understand it. We have lots of room here in mid-sized towns like Lansing. Just move your ass here. Cheaper housing, better life. You can get home in time for the game.
Jeff Peterson, Saturday's game was a disappointment from an offensive standpoint, but probably more so from a defensive standpoint. Talent gap was huge. A 6-win season may be a stretch.
It won't be a stretch because of what we saw. If they don't get to 6 wins, it'll be because they just lose a lot of toss-up games, which could absolutely happen. Indiana's looked very, very good and was impressive against Maryland. Illinois, obviously, has been good. Rutgers, has been good at times, or solid at times. They're not going to blow any of these guys out other than maybe Purdue. And so you've got one more game, Purdue at home on a Friday night in November, that gets you to 4 wins. And do you win 2 of the other games left on your schedule? And I think they probably do still. I would still take that bet. If you put the season win total at 5.5 and had to bet it at even money, I would take the over right now. I would. And if you put it at 6.5, I would probably take the under, but I would still be curious about this team. Like, I really want to see this week in their response, even if they don't win this week. If on a 6-day rest going into a bye week, they show up with some teeth in Oregon, then I'm going to believe a lot in this group coming off a bye week, going into Iowa and then Michigan. And so I think this game will be telling to that to some degree.
McNick next. Ohio State still moved the ball a little too easily, but missed face mask, a dropped gimme interception leading to a touchdown on 4th and goal, a shanked punt, a few unreal catches by a freshman receiver. Scoreboard said otherwise, but this was a game for over a half. Excited to see post-bye version of MSU.
Yeah, and again, I think this week, though, is not that it's – I mean, they could get blown out at Oregon and still show up really well against Iowa and Michigan. But I think if they show up well against Oregon, it says a lot of good things for how they show up against Iowa and Michigan. And I think people will be even if they lose this game, people will be intrigued for those two games. The schedule actually sets up well in some ways in terms of having this team could use a bye soon. They're a little beat up. They could use the time away. And then after that, because Michigan is not maybe the juggernaut they were a year ago, obviously, and everything is, but they're good teams. Like Iowa, Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, on a neutral field right now would probably all be favored against Michigan State. And obviously home field will determine that a little bit. And so you got 4 games that are winnable in a row and very, very losable. You need to that's going to be the stretch that will define how you feel about this season for sure.
Company man, MSU is an 8-9 win team if they had a neutral turnover differential. Baked, MSU wearing more traditional uniforms week in and week out has me subconsciously trusting their competence more. There has to be a correlation between boring uniforms and complimentary 3-phase football.
Well, I think it's focusing on the right things, but I also think you have classic uniforms. I think it's good taste is what it is. If you show up and you're like, you look at Michigan State's uniforms and you think things need changing, then you don't have good taste, and that's what it comes down to.
Scott, you super excited about this MSU team and the progress made so far and growth to see the season. Years 3 and 5 of the staff will be season's expectations are making the playoff due to the schedule. And bonus, the offense in the first half moved the ball with ease. Continued growth has us play great November football.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to stay healthy. I think the fact that Aidan Chiles got out of that game healthy, if you can get out of this one healthy, we'll see. Like Indiana looks really good, but do I think they're a team that Michigan State can't beat? No. Same with Illinois. Yeah, I'm very curious to see how this team grows into the rest of the season. But this week is not. A lot of people are sort of looking ahead at like this week can't happen. I have seen Oregon play when they haven't looked amazing, and I think Oregon is a better, more seasoned program than Michigan State. But I am not writing Michigan State off from making this a competitive game.
By the way, James Franklin, I'm betting against him. I'm not betting for his teams, only against him or a fade for the rest of my life. James Franklin, coach teams. Scott, Jarrett.
Well, I mean, we knew that Illinois line was too much.
I know. No, I didn't. I didn't know that. Jarrett, the Michigan State defense will take a big step back next year. And bonus, blizzards are better than hurricanes, but hurricanes are absolutely awful. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah.
You know what I want? When I hear blizzard, I just want one of those like blizzard treats, ice cream treats. Yeah. That sounds amazing.
A Thin Mint.
Yeah. No, I can't even imagine being in a hurricane. You see the footage of like these places are just completely underwater with a storm.
We lost power in Ovid for less than a day, and I was panicking. I really feel. What can I do? How can we help here? You know, where do I donate? I guess. Neurotic Pants. Number 1, D'Antonio left the program demoralized and irrelevant, much as it was before he arrived on the scene. I like the guy very much, but seeing him get all these awards while MSU gets annually bent over by Ohio State feels disingenuous. And bonus, sports bars that can't plan ahead to stream and provide audio for the home team's game should have their liquor license revoked.
These are
that is the point of the year, Neurotic Pants.
Yeah, these are
sports bar ones.
Both of these takes from Mr. Neurotic Pants are muskox worthy.
Donate that $5.
Strong takes. Yes, I know it's.
I don't know about the first one, but I'm talking about sports bars that go to them.
Let's start there. It was an issue a year ago that sports bars, for a while, could not get Peacock the way that you need to get all the TVs lined up together, and that was a real problem. Because if you rig it with a bunch of Fire Sticks or whatever, you've got one TV that's ahead of the other. That's an awful way to have.
We're talking about having the audio on at least.
No, but
going overhead, and there's a lot of bars that I don't drink anymore, so I don't go frequent as much. Not any sponsors by any means, but back in the day when I would go, the TVs would be all discombobulated. Like, have the games on, know the schedule, have the shit on before people get there and have to ask. No one should have to ask you for a game unless it's some random game that you're looking for.
And if it's a huge moment, you got to recognize what you are. I remember we did in Kalamazoo at the Kalamazoo Gazette. We did like a bracket one year of top sports bars in the city. Like it was like 16, and you faced off each other. And we left off a place across the street that was my favorite bar. Harvey's on the Mall, right? Great place, great Monday night specials, all this stuff back in the day. They had TVs. They would have the games on to some degree. Mm-hmm. They did not even make the bracket, and they were upset. And I said, I can't get you to turn off the Shania Twain music when the game's big. Like, you have to recognize if it's St. Patrick's Day, which should be moved so it does not coincide with March Madness. But if it's St. Patrick's Day and you've got Irish music on, which I love, instead of the games, a huge game in your market, you're not a sports bar. You don't get to be a sports bar. You don't get to be considered a sports bar, and that has to be a check against you. And a lot of places aren't sports bars, but they do sports really well. One of the great things about Midtown Brewing Company is they recognize it's a great place to watch the games, but it's not really a sports bar. They've sort of managed to do a lot of things really, really well.
Imagine that. You can have the game on. It's unbelievable.
But if it's your market team and it's that big a game, I'm with you.
Yeah. Therese and her weekend highlights started a snack club and thought up the best Halloween idea, all sponsored by Pure Options, wrapped in the Rubes Muskox flannel. Bonus, new fantasy rule. Quarterback throws a pick six. It's -6 points. I got to say, I was really proud of her after this.
Yeah,
one. That's a good rule. I've played fantasy football since 1991.
That should be
I've never thought of, out of all the dumb rules, because you have these leagues where a lot of guys want to do these like crazy rules, but if you throw a pick six, like, is it really that hard to find that data and to keep track of that? No. If you throw a pick six, you should get -6 points.
I'm with you. So what started a snack and thought up the best Halloween idea? What was it?
Therese was sent some gift. Well, she had surgery like a couple weeks ago, so she, everybody loves her, so they send her gifts. Some coworker from Canada sent over just a bunch of like snacky things from Canada, and so we were having fun getting stoned on Pure Options and trying new snacks from Canada. So she's like, why don't we do a Michigan one? She's to send back to the coworker. So she went to Horrocks and, and she did her Therese thing of putting together a nice little Michigan thing. So she was trying to come up with a snack club, like kind of like your newsletter.
Yeah. I like it.
Something or other. And the Halloween idea, I don't know. We have a Halloween thing.
Yeah, no, we're big on it. My wife just got a whole bunch of Play-Doh delivered for Halloween. It's for the little.
She gonna throw it at kids?
No, kids want it. So a couple years
give it to kids. Oh,
a couple years ago we had, we give out candy too, but a couple years ago we had like in the giant pumpkin thing that kids choose their candy out of. We had Play-Doh in there and candy and all this stuff.
Yeah.
The Play-Doh was the biggest hit I'd ever seen. Like, kids wanted the Play-Doh, and when we started running out of Play-Doh, there were like fights among like young kids with their siblings. We're like, oh shit! So we
don't eat that.
We now. I used to like the taste.
Do you have to
of Play-Doh.
tell kids that?
No, but
don't eat this shit.
But now we make sure we have plenty.
You get a lot of kids by your.
We
neighborhood.
do. We're a big kids.
The Ovid, we don't. It's more of just putting things up for ourselves and sit on the porch and eat candy.
We go out in the front yard now because our door kind of opens the wrong way, our front door, and it doesn't open into the porch. Like, in other words, so kids would stand there, we'd open it, and it almost falls off the porch into like our hedges, and so I'd be like, and you'd have these like
keep the kids scared. That's
you get
cool.
These 3-year-olds in winter jackets that can barely move, and they're up there waiting for their candy, and the door opens and they start falling off the side. I caught like 3 or 4 of them the first year, and I was like, okay, that's enough. We're doing this in the yard.
Do you get older kids that just don't wear a costume anymore? Is that still
we get a little of that? I don't. My mom used to make them like sing a song or something. She was
what?
Yeah,
Sing a song.
Yeah, my mom was tough like that. She was like, I mean, trick or treat, like you had to perform if you weren't gonna take part in the costume thing.
I guess.
Yeah, we just I don't want kids to come back.
I never thought of that. I was just get the fuck out of here.
I'm more aware that kids can come back and egg our house or toilet paper, and I just want them to be happy.
I don't know, man.
Yeah,
The lady telling me to sing a song, I'm coming back heavy with some eggs. What the fuck is that? Graham volleyball dad, Gotham volleyball dad. Best. Do you know at what point I knew Aston Villa wasn't going to win? When you announced you bet on them.
Fair enough.
Baked.
Went poorly.
MSU is going 4-8, and it's okay. O-line depth isn't there, but the future is bright. If only State had the offensive lineman NIL program, Graham's best take ever.
Still think that's the way to go. By the way, with Aston Villa, that bet I still love it. But they played
He had like 19 soccer bets though. I mean,
yeah, and Ipswich.
Heartbreak.
In Ipswich, it was at Ipswich, and the stats were the same. The worst thing about this bet was it was the 9 a.m. Sunday game after a night football game I covered. So I went to bed at like 6 or something like that. I didn't wake up till afternoon. And so the worst one is when you have to wake up to a game you couldn't see. And the first thing I do, I roll over, I look at the phone, I'm like, oh, Aston Villa. I look at my score, like, fuck. It's not great.
And then you can't get back to sleep.
No, now I'm up.
Because if they would have been winning, you'd have been like, fuck yeah, I should probably get up, huh?
Another 2 hours.
Munfield Keg. I can't believe you put your wife down for a nap. That's great. Munfield Keg. Dave Portnoy said he's willing to spend money for a transfer quarterback for Michigan in the future. Wouldn't it be smarter for Stephen St. Andre to just work on NIL for our offensive line recruits and portal additions? He could be known as Stephen St. Offensive Line.
There are worse things to be known as.
Johnny Spirit.
There is a chance for somebody to be a legend because if you created this NIL offensive line collective or fund and the thing is it would be more legitimate than any other collective because you could do fun things. Whatever, you could have that offensive line do appearances together. They could do marketing, actual stuff. And if the offensive line got rolling and Michigan State was a great football team because it had a great offensive line because of your NIL program, you would be a legend on campus. A legend.
Do you have St. Andre's number? Like, can we have him on? Can we pitch him on this?
He's hard to get a hold of, though.
Well, maybe he shouldn't be. If you can be a legend that easily with some money, come on, man.
I could ask if he's willing to. I can ask if he's willing to come on. I don't know that he because I was.
Tell him it'll be like a 5-minute interview.
I've tried to do an interview with him for the LSJ, which I think they would want first, and thought I was going to do it, and he would not. It eventually just backed off.
I wouldn't want to do that either.
And by the way, it's Greg Williams who oversees the. I mean, St. Andre's still, it's the same people still a part of this, but it's Greg Williams' fund now that is the Spartan NIL.
Whoever.
And Tom Dieters does the other one, which I really like, the one that's through Charitable Gifts of America and does hockey and gymnastics and tennis and all that.
All right. DeUper, when it comes to college football realignment, there are no good guys. I had a lot of sympathy for Washington State and Oregon State, but now it's clear, no matter how small and poor you are, there's always someone smaller and poorer. What they're doing to the Mountain West Conference is sad and pathetic.
And frankly, the fact that I don't think the MAC's going to break up, but the fact that the MAC could be what goes away. I mean, it sucks. I would, as much fun as some of these matchups are, I would happily give back USC and UCLA and Oregon and Washington to just keep some stability of some things we love in this.
C-Dubs91, hot take, college football fans should create a ranking system where 100 super fans vote on the top 25. You can neutralize bias by banning votes on favorite teams. I want people who watch and care about the games to tell me how good teams are. Hashtag gambling related. Bonus, I'm normally a Bally hater, but I watched at work on my iPad this weekend, and their app is surprisingly good. Having live games and season stats plus trends is awesome for a baseball nerd like me. Hoping they add that option for the TV streaming app next year.
I've kept Bally. I'm probably going to keep it through. I have to pay a little more on cable if I want to have Bally back there anyway.
I mean, I've never heard anyone pro Bally's. I mean, this is fucking another $5.
Yeah,
another $5.
It's another Muskox quality.
What are we doing? We're giving Bally's props now. Jesus,
yeah,
everything is turning around now.
Yeah, no, it's
holy shit.
Like a Muskox, he's able to live in a condition no one else is able to.
What a world.
To the first point though. The thing I like about Bally's too, the app, is that you can
like
be
Bally's
out of state. There's things I've liked about it. It's been okay.
Big Ten Network Plus.
The AP. So I got in a little bit of heat for a tweet I had about, not heat, but I did my usual complaining about the AP poll because I think Michigan moved up to 11 or whatever, or 10 or whatever it was.
Someone hasn't heard your take about the AP poll?
Yeah, and it's first of all, they don't give these, it's due Sunday morning. Some of these people are covering Saturday night games. They don't have any time to put any thought into this. It's just complete ass. It shouldn't exist. And you're right, to do a poll that's of all worth looking at, even if it doesn't determine anything, it should be a collection of people who are, you could do 100 super fans, you could do whatever, you could do a collection of retired media folks and coaches, whatever it is. It just can't be what it is now. It just cannot be people who see one game and that's it. Like I saw the only reason I saw the Michigan-Minnesota game was because Michigan State played that much later, and I was able to watch it. But if that had been Michigan State played at noon as well, I wouldn't have seen any of that game. I wouldn't have any idea about it, and that's the way it is for most of these guys. See 1-2 games a week.
Fossman 80, number one. Ohio State's 185 rushing yards to MSU's 47 rushing yards. Tells at least half the story of Saturday night's shellacking. Until MSU gets a great or at least a good offensive line, it will not compete for a spot in the expanded college football playoff. 2, MSU's offensive line is the most overlooked position group in football by most writers and nearly all casual fans. Graham, get off your keister and do a piece or 2 or 3 on MSU's offensive line problems over the past decade. And 3, for the love of God, whoever is in charge of the speakers in Spartan Stadium, turn down the volume. I was at Saturday's game, and the genius in charge of the marching band's halftime show thought it would be a great idea to mic up the horn solos. My ears are still ringing.
A lot of people are complaining about this. This and the traffic are two things to do pieces. We are so insulated in that press box.
I looked over at T, and when I could hear the music playing at the stadium, I go, someone right now is really pissed off.
I got to ask my mom. She was there with my aunt, and
you should dance.
And she
turn it up.
She never brings it up, but I would think she would. She's not somebody who's afraid to complain about something that's unpleasant.
Is her hearing good, though?
Yeah, it's good hearing.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm listening. She's up there. I'm asking.
I'm going to have to.
My hearing stinks. I wouldn't.
And noted on the offensive line, Faustman. Appreciate the suggestion.
John Minsley. Graham, as a former Kalamazoo resident, I'm looking for your hot take. I attended MSU before the age of groovy donuts, but I love Sweetwater's donuts. Since there is no geographic overlap, you won't be cheating on a sponsor. How would you compare Sweetwater's to Groovy Donuts? So
I really like Sweetwater's. I have a soft spot for them. We had Sweetwater's donuts at our wedding instead of cake. They created like one giant donut that was for the cake, and they did a bunch of donuts. It was a big hit at our wedding. We also had hot dogs, the late night snack. Highly recommend. Hot dog cart guy comes late. Great. People loved it. I do not get the same twinkle in my eye. I never did. And I used to go to Sweetwater's fairly regularly. That I do when I'm going to Groovy Donuts. When I have a box of Groovy Donuts next to me, when I'm biting into Groovy Donuts. It is a different feeling. And Sweetwater's great donuts. Love it. Love that Kalamazoo has that. I think Groovy Donuts is next level. That's my own opinion.
Do you know the people that make Sweetwater donuts?
I know. I know enough of. I mean, my wife used to go there and like hang out in high school all the time. They were open late. They're only 24 hours for a while. I think Groovy Donuts is.
They're made with love from Groovy Donuts.
Well, it's just
I can feel the love
it's just
when I take a bite in the
just
donut.
Next level. Like if you're gonna, yeah. So anyway, I would go. And again, they are a sponsor, and they are friends. So I may have biases.
So you go either way.
But no. But I feel a certain way about Groovy Donuts that I never felt about Sweetwater's, and that is taste related.
Jay Riemann-Schneider. Up 24-3 in the third quarter, give up 21 points in the fourth, and win 27-24. Feels like a loss to me. Baked. MSU's final score is usually the halftime score against Ohio State, so progress is progress.
Yeah, I do wonder how most Michigan fans feel about that game against Minnesota, because I don't think Minnesota is very good, and they couldn't put them away. And there were some calls. There were a couple calls actually that did go against Michigan too that helped Minnesota. I'm curious to see. I just think Michigan's going to have some games, a lot of toss-up games from here on out, and like Michigan State, it's going to be whether they make mistakes, how they close. They've got some advantages over Michigan State. They're a little more seasoned up front, I think a little more seasoned defensively, but they're not dominating anywhere. And when you're not dominating anywhere and you don't have a quarterback, it can make life tough.
Spartan 18770, if all Big Ten teams are scheduled to play after 8 p.m. against West Coast teams, then all West Coast teams should play at noon when traveling to the Eastern time zone. Deal.
Yeah. It's all TV related. That's why there are some really late games starting to happen now too. But and you're seeing that somebody from out west is this week, playing
Midnight?
at noon. No, playing at noon, coming east. And those are going to be tough games, and they're going to have to do them regularly enough. They're going to feel it.
Thomas Zambiasi, MSU will win 3 upsets this season, and bonus breakfast for dinner needs to be considered more frequently.
Underrated. I agree. Like eggs, omelets. Omelets are always good. Breakfast sandwiches, always good. Anytime
Do you
a day
guys do that?
should be reversed. We
You
occasionally
guys eat breakfast for dinner?
Well, we'll do something fun. We'll do eggs-related stuff, but not enough.
Why does it have to be? Is it so weird that breakfast is at? I mean,
Why shouldn't it be?
you
at
just
night?
enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
I feel like some links and some French toast.
I don't understand why an omelet isn't served in the evening.
Whenever.
Yeah, I'll talk to Midtown Brewing Company about that.
Captain Sparty, MSU is making the playoff this year. That's my take and my bake take. If they do, I should get a gift card.
If they do, we'll give you a gift card,
Yep.
Captain Sparty.
Yeah, I'll make sure Graham sends one.
It is a big take, but because at this point, especially since they also played Prairie View, they probably couldn't lose again. Now they would have wins over Oregon and a lot of quality wins and wins at Michigan, like they would wins that were respected. But they probably couldn't lose again.
You've taken enough time on this question, I think.
Oh, you're welcome.
Shep, Graham, my wife is a wonderful person with questionable taste in TV and movies. She watches Hallmark movies, Emily in Paris, Bridgerton, and other similar nonsense by herself, as she knows I consider it all ass. I suggested Girls 5 Eva to her based off your recommendation. You two seem to have similar preferences. She didn't even make it through the first episode and told me it was awful and not at all funny.
Ouch.
Bonus. Jonathan Smith's team seemed to have similar level of attention to detail as John L. Smith's teams, and it's fucking concerning.
Shep, I would like to. I mean, like I think your wife and I do have some similar tastes. I would like to know what she thinks of some other of my favorites. And Girls 5 Ever, I still think is good, but it's
No.
we can all have a little. We can all deviate here.
Can't
and
you
there.
just say you enjoy it instead of saying
No,
it's
I
good?
think it's good. I think it's
you're
legitimately good.
No.
No.
That's not how you handle that thing, though. It's terrible TV that you enjoy. You shouldn't say it's good.
I
not
watch some
good
terrible
TV.
TV that
It's
I
terrible
enjoy. I
for
don't
you.
think that Girls 5 Ever falls into that category. I think it's actually
Jesus.
good TV.
Well, I mean, out of all the things you watch, I'm sure we could debate for.
I think there is
in a
good TV.
July show.
I think there's good TV out there that you don't enjoy, and that's the same for me. Like there are lots of things that are probably qualified as good that I don't like. Nothing.
See, they just wear you down. That's the thing too. Is the guys like you? They just wear you down till you finally go. All right, fine, fuck.
Nothing that Quentin
Put
Tarantino
it
has
on.
ever done is I enjoyed, but some people would consider it quality.
All right, Beppe Plum. I'm going to say this: MSU will be very good in a year or two. Maybe not ever elite, but they will be in a playoff conversation 60% of the time. I'm proud of this team, and Ohio State's number 4 is probably still taking cheap shots, so F him. Even though the Lions could use him in a few years. Naturally baked. Things seen on a coffee run. A man named Marlene. A woman put a tea bag in her coffee. A man gets upset because his girlfriend gave the cashier her number for the rewards program, and the two almost came to fisticuffs. I actually might be more normal than average.
So wait a sec. The woman put a tea bag in her coffee. Okay, a man gets upset because his girlfriend gave a cashier her number for the rewards program.
Yeah. And then winked twice.
Yeah. And
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It sounds terrible.
I don't. Wow, what a weird world. Don't get pissed at stupid things.
Sure. Bo McJunkin's number 1. Miami, Michigan, Ohio State, all getting favorable, inexcusable help from the officials. This shit is WWE now. 2, wet toilet paper has a better durability than our offensive line right now. And 3, Velling is the most underwhelming transfer since DeAnthony Arnett. We need more from him. Okay, that's it.
I disagree with you a little on Velling. I mean, DeAnthony could find the field. Velling obviously had a big fumble and a big moment, but he's also, against Maryland, he had 3 catches all at the sticks and important first downs. He was good at Boston College. I mean, if he was a dominating NFL tight end, he'd be in the NFL. I don't think he's that, but I think he's been pretty solid as a tight end. A pretty good player.
Some dude, number 1, Scott Harris and Chris Ilitch are the most surprised people on earth that this happened. AJ Hinch is not. 2, afternoon games suck for fans, but I think it favors the Tigers. Not prime time. No extra bullshit. Just go play. Reminds me of the year they smoked the Yankees in the postseason. And baked. Mike Elko and Brett Bielema are a different kind of fat. Not the kind you sink into, but the kind you bounce off of. Would they have to buy 2 muskox and stitch them together? Can T do this?
Muskox will take care of the big people in your life. They're there for.
What's Bielema though? If you got Bielema, a Muskox, he's X.
He's a big guy.
Yeah,
big guy. But
it's intervention time.
Yeah. Well,
come on, Brett. You look like a nice guy. We want to see you around.
Yeah.
What? I mean, come on. It's craziness.
I'm just not a fat shaming guy. As
I'm not fat shaming. I just said I'm worried about his health. You can be You can be worried about someone's health. We can't sit there and promote this. Anyway. All right. Are we done?
Yeah.
Original Dark Mantonio tells Solari that Ohio recruiting is good, but it is not the recruiting equivalent to Texas, Florida, California, or Georgia. MSU, Michigan, and even Ohio State can do fine without recruiting Ohio too hard. The best players today don't grow up rooting for schools, so they don't seek revenge when passed over by a dream school. And bonus, when will you and other MSU talkers stop bringing up years gone by when talking about today's teams? You can say anything is possible, but what MSU did in 1999 or even in 2016 has nothing at all to do with what's happening today. This is a whole new college football world.
Here's where that's not really true. I mean, if because a lot of the same big programs are winning, so the brand still matters. So the infrastructure matters. The history still matters to some degree. And I agree that there are a lot of changes, and you have to be willing to adapt. But I think there are relevant things. I mean, Michigan won prior to. I mean, the group that it just won was really a carryover group that wasn't a transfer portal group. It wasn't an NIL group. That's the 3 years. So is there no difference between Michigan and Purdue then? Because it's all new, and the history doesn't matter. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it does matter. There is something to it. I understand it's not. Sometimes we can lean on history a little too much, and it's easy to do, and it's a crutch. But there is relevancy to what's happened previously still in college football, I think.
MCV 052, after spending my week off doing nothing but watching football, I've determined that college refs may not all be ass. Big Ten refs, however, are unequivocally ass. It's a nice shirt, unequivocally ass. A bonus, MSU is not the most injury-prone team in college football. That title goes to Ole Miss, who has a player go down with an injury every 2 to 3 plays.
Can we do unequivocally ass probably on a shirt?
It's a little wordy.
I worry that the sweatshop kids would not spell that correctly, too. It's a big word for the 6-year-olds.
Listen, I'm in charge. Don't worry about it.
Oh, jeez. Now there's no reason to be concerned.
Manderson next. Bake Take, what's up with that fugly cream-colored concrete retainment wall between the field and the stands at Spartan Stadium? It's an eyesore, man. Can we not splurge for better? Maybe brick or subway tile? Or at least make it match Sparty white? Or better yet, a Pure Options living wall?
So, yeah, you could do backsplash, like my wife would pick a certain type of backsplash for that.
I love that people get mad about these things, though.
I remember it used to look good. I don't know if it doesn't look good. Yeah,
I didn't see it, but I agree.
I'd
change it to Pure Options.
A brick would be, I like a brick, a good brick would be good. Yeah.
Cobblestone we have out here. ULA, MSU should have hired Kurt Cignetti, first-year coach for Indiana, who brought in this roster from his previous school and is recruiting very well. He has his team in the playoff hunt while we're stuck with Jonathan Smith, who was not impressed except for bringing Chiles in.
Look, I think Kurt Cignetti is a really good hire. I've liked that. I've been talking about. I think he's a great hire. I think he was perfect for Indiana.
Siggy.
I don't know if he's a better long-term fit than Jonathan Smith. I think he's, I think there are a lot of times mid-major guys who have won everywhere who then come to a place like Indiana can do a lot with a little. We'll see. We'll see. We're going to see Indiana first up close in a few weeks, and it certainly I think that was a great hire by Indiana, but I don't think it has to disparage Jonathan Smith.
Hans Jurgen, number one, the best thing to do after a loss like that is to fire the hometown columnist.
Fair.
2, my son says sports betting makes him whole. #ProudPapa. 3, call me a honk or a show killer, but I feel like we can beat anyone left on our schedule if we don't turn over the ball. And bonus, I called Derrick Henry washed before the season started. I just watched him run the entire Bills defense for an 87-yard touchdown. This is why my takes never resonate beyond this forum.
He looked great last night. I was surprised. Like, he looked better. Leading the NFL in rushing right now. I mean, obviously he's close to 200 yards, but he looked, yeah. He's legit.
Like a giant guy that's healthy.
Oh my God, he looks. Yeah, it's like
he's always been a beast when healthy.
It just makes you think for the price, a lot of people could have had him. And I'm not saying, look, the Lions running back situation's fine. I'm just saying, boy, that's an embarrassment of riches if they get rolling in Baltimore.
Jake Hawkins, number one, great column on the post-game performance against Ohio State. I'm hoping for a close game Friday in Eugene, but word to the wise. Friday night football games are for high school only, not college, especially big-time college. 2, I'm happy that MSU was able to get Jonathan Smith to be the new head football coach, and I'm excited for what's in store for the future. But damn it, Coach, learn to take the points. You're not Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions. 3, I doubt that Ohio State stud freshman Jeremiah Smith can possibly play in the NFL right now. Hell, they said the same thing about Adrian Peterson when he was a freshman at Oklahoma. Note to Devin Brown, change your jersey number. 33 isn't one for a quarterback.
It was confusing.
Yeah. Bonus, college refs aren't just ass. They're pure stinking horse's ass.
Another good shirt.
And since you both look like the King of the Hill characters on Couch the Rube logo, perhaps you could play the theme music after commercial breaks.
We'd have to actually take a commercial, which we haven't done today just because we're trying to get out of here for Ebling's show, which is in the same studio after we do this podcast.
Normally, we would take a break and then come back with that music.
Yeah, because
stop the whole deal.
Bottom line is Jason usually has to pee, too, and usually I get this panic text in the middle of the show, like, oh, my God, break, and I see him run to the bathroom. It's a panic text.
I was in a panic. It says break.
But I try
to be more wordy with it.
I think I've learned to time your bladder over the years. Like, I know when you've
gotten good.
When you're in when you might be in trouble. Look, Friday nights, I agree. I love it being a high school night. This weekend, Michigan State's also got their Midnight Madness. A lot of things going on. I think as long as you're not doing it regularly in your particular market, here and there, I think it's okay. But Michigan State's got 2 of them, although one of them is late enough. I guess it's deep in the high school football playoffs, and they'll all be Saturday games anyway.
Upper Deck Jerk Guy finally here. Number 1, cheaters should be held accountable. 2, Jonathan Smith is going to be taken by another program after year 3. And 3, if 2 people on opposite sides of the world each drop a piece of bread, the earth briefly becomes a sandwich.
Your deep thoughts, Upper Deck Jerk Guy, really the foundation of this podcast. And we appreciate it. We appreciate it. We appreciate all of you for producing our show and making it happen. It saves us. It really does. You guys are it. Him, as some people would say. You guys are him. We appreciate our friends at Midtown Brewing Company. Great place if you're downtown Lansing this week. Great place to stop by and watch the Tigers. 2:30 games, not convenient for everybody, but if you're in an office, just dip out. Say you're going to make a quick errand run. Midtown Brewing Company is there for you. They'll sign a permission slip or a note for your boss if you need it. We appreciate our friends at Muskox. Go muskox.com for your orders today. Fix it and post for $15 off for Couch and the Rube listeners. You'll thank us later. You'll love it. You'll love the way you feel. You'll love the way you look. We appreciate Pure Options. The show is made possible by them. Go to pureoptions.com, and we'll be back Tuesday night. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch and the Rube.